And we are back. Power Rankings Week 2 edition. Starting out at number 32, we do have the Carolina Panthers going down a spot. And yes, I do know that the color is different. Whoever created the list decided to update it, so I had to update it back to what it used to be, and I don't remember what the colors were exactly, so sorry. But number 32, we had the Panthers. They're going down a spot as they ended up losing 47-10 against the New Orleans Saints. Derek Carr had a career game, something he hasn't done since, he was still on his rookie contract in Oakland, and now Las Vegas. And, the Panthers, Bryce Young is starting to look like a Jamarcus Russell type player. Sorry for rotating the camera so much. It doesn't look like he's good. And it honestly might be time to consider looking into a new quarterback. Obviously, I don't think there's going to be any from this class who really stand out. But, you never know. At number 31, going down 4 spots, we have the Giants, as they ended up losing 28-6 against the Minnesota Vikings. Once again, same with the Panthers, where Sam Darnold, a quarterback, once again, you wouldn't expect, ends up having a career game. Something, I don't even think Sam Darnold has ever done. And the Vikings look like a very good team compared to the Giants, and that showed 28-6. Daniel Jones did not look good, throwing another pick six. And I once again think you might just want to look into the next quarterback class, because Daniel Jones doesn't look like your guy. At number 30, we have the Commanders going up 2 spots. They did end up losing their game, and it was, lopsided, as the Buccaneers won 37-20 in pure domination. However, it was not nearly as bad as the other 2 games. So, because of that, the Commanders get to go up simply because other teams did worse. Jaden Daniels didn't look horrible in his debut. However, he looked far from great. And, that Commanders defense just could not stop that Buccaneers offense. As, once again, Baker Mayfield, another guy who you wouldn't really expect to have a career game, did. So, yeah. At number 29, we have the Las Vegas Raiders. They're going to be going down 3 spots, as they ended up losing 22-10 to the Chargers. Now, see, this is where kind of things get human. As 22-10 is not a blowout by any means. And it was a garbage time touchdown, I believe. I could be wrong. I don't remember the game, I'm going to be honest. I watched it, I don't remember. But no one really looked good. Jacoby Myers had a pretty good game, but, was not nearly enough to kind of propel them over to, the finish line. And also, Max Crosby got locked up, it looked like, by Joe Alt. So, number 28, we have the Titans. They are going down 5 spots. Now, they played a very good game defensively. 0 offensive points allowed. However, the issue lies with the fact that they didn't allow a single offensive point, and they still lost. Right? They lost 24-17. And their offense did, nothing really. They did good, and then they allowed the Bears to get back into that game, and obviously, judging by how they're 0-1, they lost. So, Titans, if you could have just, closed that game out and not made the mistakes you did on offense in that second half, this would be a whole different story, but you did. 27, we have the Denver Broncos. They're going to be going down 5 spots. They end up losing 26-20 against the Seahawks, and I did watch this game as well. That score is kind of misleading. That game was all Seahawks. Bo Nix didn't look great in his debut. 2 interceptions. I don't think he threw for a touchdown pass. I don't think any of the rookies threw for a touchdown pass who started. And it looks like the Broncos do have a chance considering they were able to hang into that game. But, well, at least the score says that. But it also looks like this is going to be a learning year for them, which I feel like everyone expected. So, Broncos fans, I mean, you're probably one of the few teams ranked this low who should feel good about themselves after this game. Because you didn't win, but at the same time, you showed a lot of potential with, your defense. And even though your offense wasn't great, you didn't really need it. 26, we have the Cardinals. They're going to be going up 2 spots. They end up losing 34-28 against the Buffalo Bills. This was a very fun game. I didn't get to watch a whole lot of it. I only saw, the little bits that Red Zone showed. But, I mean, the Cardinals, they were winning at one point. And, well, they stayed in it till the very last, few plays. Obviously, they fall just short. And, it would have been monumental if they would have picked up the win. But you didn't, so. But, I mean, you look like you could pull a few strings, I wouldn't rule you guys out of playoff contenders. Obviously, I don't think you're going to be that. But compared to where I put you guys, you definitely are proving me wrong. 25, we have the Browns. They're going to be going down 9 spots. Little spoiler, that is the biggest drop of the week. I mean, you guys just stood no chance. Deshaun Watson is the reason you lost that game. It's the Dallas Cowboys. They are one of the best teams all around in the regular season. And, I mean, it showed 37 points. And Deshaun Watson sucks. So, I think you honestly might be better off giving Jameis Winston the start because he's probably a better quarterback. He's not rusty. He's not having probably bad thoughts, fill his head while he has to do this and that. And I ultimately think Deshaun Watson will be considered quite possibly the worst contract, not just like quarterback contract, guaranteed contract, the worst contract in NFL history when it's all said and done. So, Cleveland, you might have to either embrace that you're going to suck this season, or you might just have to make an early quarterback switch because Deshaun Watson does not look like he has got it anymore. 24, down 5 spots, is the Atlanta Falcons. They end up losing 18-10. Their defense did a very good job as they did not allow a single touchdown. Pittsburgh scored 6 field goals. However, the offense, on the other hand, 1 touchdown in 60 minutes, and I couldn't see a lot of bright spots. Kirk Cousins did not look, comfortable yet. Maybe still afraid of the ACL injury, or maybe just, a bit of rust from it, and, also new scenery, and, a lot of factors could play into Kirk Cousins. Bijan Robinson looked amazing. He didn't do very well in the run game. However, in the receiving game, he kind of made up for it. And Falcons, I mean, you got another game coming up. You have primetime Monday Night Football. So let's hope this week 1 was just a fluke because week 2, you have the Eagles. So good luck. 23, we have the Patriots up 6 spots. This is the first team to be ranked with a win. Now, I want to make a note that the Patriots played a very good game in terms of, what they were able to do. They were able to score points, 16-10, obviously 16 not being a lot, but you have to remember as well they were going against the Cincinnati Bengals, and the fact that 16 points was enough to beat that team says a lot. Now, what we have to also say is it's the Cincinnati Bengals. As good as a team they are, with, all their guys, it's week 1. The Bengals have really never, or at least since Joe Burrow has come, been good in week 1. I mean, I think they've won what, they're 1-4 since Joe Burrow's joined. Not a great stat line. So I do believe that this game, yes, it is impressive. However, it's not shocking. And because of that, I'm not going to reward the Patriots with a huge boost because every team has kind of their thing. And unfortunately for the Bengals, it's week 1 losses, no matter how good you are. 22, we have the Saints up 8 spots. This is kind of the same thing I said before, except not to do with the week, but the team. Saints, 47 points. Derek Carr looking like an MVP contender. You guys played amazing. There was I don't think a single moment where you guys did bad. Now, what we need to also address is it was the Carolina Panthers, which you'd think I am boosting you a slight bit because it is a division game, which means if out of all teams, the Panthers would know you guys more than anyone else. So the fact that you're able to do that against a division team says a lot. However, that also doesn't say a lot when it's the Panthers. They had the worst pick last year. They're already trending to have the worst pick this year. And they didn't even have the worst pick last year. The Bears did, but it was via them. I mean, that's what they banked on Bryce Young and they failed. So it doesn't say a lot about who you beat because, like I said, it's the Panthers. But because of how well you did beat them, I am going to put you up for now. And you do have a tough task going ahead of you with the Cowboys. So show me if it's a fluke or not. Number 22, we have the Chargers. They're going to be going up 3 spots. It's kind of the same thing where it's the Saints, where you beat a bad team in the Raiders, a team no one really expected to be good, unless they're biased towards them. However, it's a division game, so it kind of means a bit more because obviously division games tend to be a lot closer and a lot more competitive, no matter how bad one team may be and how good the other may be. And that kind of stands true with the Chargers, Raiders, as well as the Saints, Panthers. These teams play each other twice a year, every year. And they know each other. So even though the Chargers, like I said, they beat up a bad team, they won that game pretty convincingly. And I do believe the Raiders are a better team than the Panthers. So because of that, I'm going to give the nod to the Chargers. And I also do believe the Chargers are a better team than the Saints. Number 20, we have the Steelers going up a spot. They are the only AFC North team to win this week. And they only won with field goals. They scored 18 points, all 18 being field goals by Chris Boswell. And they did a real good job on defense. Offense, obviously, different story. 18 points, all field goals. You weren't even able to get a touchdown once. However, TJ Watt doing what he does, already looking like a Defense Player of the Year candidate, although that's not really a surprise to anyone. And, I mean, your defense could carry like they did last year, where your offense might not be the greatest, however, your defense will be carrying the torch. If you win games, it's going to be in a low-scoring fashion. So, that's the reason I have you here, is because I do believe you're going to be, struggling against good teams. However, you will beat up the bad teams. And since you did play, I don't want to say the Falcons are a bad team, but they certainly looked the part. That game, at least. Number 19 is the Vikings. I just spoiled 18, but we'll get to them in a second. 19 Vikings up 6 spots. It's the same thing. I don't care how well you played. You're the New Orleans Saints in my eyes, where you beat up the second worst ranked team in my eyes. I don't think Sam Darnold's gonna have a career year. I think this will be a one-game wonder. And I don't believe you guys are going to really turn anything out of it. You do have a very tough game coming up against the 49ers, which, let's see. I mean, that's the perfect time to prove that if it was a fluke or not. So, hey, I'm all down for you guys to, put my money where my mouth is. If you win that game, fair enough. And I will, if you win that game, rank you significantly higher. We're talking top 10. So let's see it. And don't hold me to top 10, by the way. It depends on how the other teams do as well. Number 18 is the Jaguars. They're going to be going down a spot. This is a team who was winning the whole entire game, and they lose towards the end because they couldn't do anything. I mean, you look at that. It was all Jaguars in the first half, just like the Titans and Bears. It was all Titans. Second half comes around. Here comes the other team. And the Dolphins just... I mean, the score is 20-17. However, that second half was enough to, it was clear the Dolphins who won that game. Brian Thomas looked very good in his rookie debut. Trevor Lawrence looked subpar, maybe not worth $55 million a year. But ultimately, I do like the Jaguars a lot. I don't necessarily know if they're a playoff team. However, they're kind of that borderline team who's going to not only give the, a wild card a run, but they could give a run in their division. I do like a lot of the teams in the AFC South. Number 17 is the Bengals, down 5 spots. Like I said, I feel no emotion towards this game. This is the definition of Week 1 Bengals. They always do this, where they have a good roster, a good team. Joe Burrow's back, and nothing comes out of it. They always lose. Doesn't matter how good or bad, they lose. Now, I don't know how Week 2 goes because you got the Chiefs, and I feel like you guys have always been a second half team in terms of the season-ending games, but you've also done really well against the Chiefs, so I'm curious to see this game. Number 16 is the Bears, down 2 spots. I'm going to give the Bears the benefit of the doubt. I mean, you beat the team you're playing against. Yes, you weren't able to even eclipse 100 passing yards. Yes, you weren't able to score an offensive touchdown. But your defense and special teams clutched up. I mean, you got, 14 points or whatever? Well, I think all 24 points were defense and special teams. Maybe a field goal in there. So, I don't know how to feel about the Bears. I'm going to leave them here at 16 because of how good their roster on paper looks. But I'm going to need to see a bit more from that offense if you're going to convince me to kind of move you up more. And, I mean, you play the Texans Sunday night, so this is a perfect chance to prove that. Number 15 is the Packers, down 4 spots. Now, if we're judging based off of their game and how well they played, I would still put them borderline top 10. Obviously, I had them at 11 last week. I don't necessarily know if I'd put them in the top 10. However, I don't think I'd drop them by more than 2 spots either. But what we have to remember is Jordan Love did get injured. And as far as I see, no one knows. Obviously, there's reports 3 to 6 weeks. However, I'm also seeing, that Matt LaFleur thinks he could be ready by the time the Titans game rolls around. Or did I say Titans? What am I saying? The Colts. That's what I meant. I guess I got Malik Willis confused. But Malik Willis, former Titans quarterback, that's probably what I was thinking of. I mean, he is what sounds like will be the starter coming into that game. And against the Colts, this should be a very, good game because Malik Willis does know the Colts, obviously spending a few years in Tennessee as the backups, just getting to kind of observe. I do believe that, the Packers will have a chance with Malik Willis considering, the players around him. It's going to all depend on Malik Willis, however. If he can just play, below average, slightly below average, I think the Packers will probably win some of these football games. Obviously, the Colts is a very tough team. So, yeah. Number 14, we have the Jets. They're going to go down 5 spots. I saw a lot out of the Jets. That game was not very interesting to watch. It was kind of all 49ers. However, it's unfair, in my opinion, to rank the Jets. You have a quarterback who's missed over a year, essentially, of playing time. Or around a year. So, it's not really fair to rank him off of one game, especially when you're going against a top 3 roster in the league. However, where the big issue lies is Jordan Mason. The fact that he was able to run for 100 yards, and I don't necessarily think it's your fault. I believe if I was behind that 49ers O-line, I could run for 100 yards. I full on believe that. No matter how bad I am at football, I do believe that no matter who you put behind there, they will have a chance to go for 100 yards with ease. That's how good that 49ers O-line and team is. So I'm not going to hold the Jets accountable too much for that game, with it being week 1 against, one of the best teams of, not even best teams ever. That is a super team. And there seems to be a lot of super teams this year. Number 13, we have the Seahawks. They're going to go up 5 spots. They got a nice win over the Broncos. Obviously, the score didn't show it. However, this game wasn't really close. The Seahawks kind of dominated, while the Broncos, were able to score points but never really compete. And I don't know how well the Seahawks are going to do going into future weeks. They do play the Patriots, so the Patriots have a chance to prove that their week 1 wasn't a fluke. And the Seahawks have a chance to prove that they are, a team to be reckoned with, who are competing for a playoff spot. Number 12, we have the Colts. They're going up 8 spots. Even though they lost, they kept it close the whole entire game with the Texans, while Anthony Richardson did not play very well. Everyone's going to see that one touchdown to Alec Pierce and just assume that Anthony Richardson is, that guy. But if you look at the stats and kind of the plays that happened during that game, you'd realize he did not have a very good game. And somehow they kept up and only lost by 2 points. Is something I believe the Colts, even though you lost, you should be happy that, you were able to do that against one of the best teams in the league while playing subpar. So the Colts, I do believe, will be one of the scariest teams in the league, especially if they beat the Packers and get kind of some momentum going. Obviously, 0-2 is a lot different than 1-1, especially in both the AFC South and the AFC. In my opinion, the AFC South might be the best division in football. Who knows? I feel like it's very unknown with that high possibility, though. Number 11 is the Rams going up 4 spots. Same thing about the Colts with the Rams. The Rams did not play very well, and they, without Puka Nacua for a lot of that game, they were able to kind of keep up with the Lions. They actually took the Lions to overtime, and this is where I think the NFL needs to adapt kind of college football style. I know it's not ideal, but I think they need to kind of let both teams get the ball. And I personally believe how overtime should work in the NFL is both teams get one drive. I don't care where it's from. They get one drive, not multiple. And whatever happens, happens. If both teams decide to punt the football, And I think that would kind of be really smart. However, I also feel like, you should be able to go, it should be at a set spot unless a turnover happens. So if you go for on 4th down, you don't get it. I feel like the ball should be put at a set spot. At number 10, we have the Dolphins. They're going to be staying the same. They did not look very good in that game until the end. And let me tell you, they looked amazing in the end. But at the same time, I don't know how well I can allow, just 2 quarters of, success really weigh on me. I am going to keep you in the top 10, and you do have I believe, a tough game against the Bills coming up Thursday Night Football. That should be a fun game. I look forward to it. And, if you want to be brain tired, that's your chance to prove it. Number 9, speaking of, going down a spot is the Bills. They really struggled in that first half. However, same thing with the Dolphins. They looked like a whole new team. They look like the Buffalo Bills that I know from, regular season. Yes, it's the Cardinals. The fact that you only won by 6 points against them is embarrassing. However, Josh Allen looked amazing in that second half, really using his legs. And that's what scares me, is no matter how good Josh Allen may be, if anything happens to his legs, I feel like not only will it be bad in the moment, I think that's going to be kind of a career altering thing. And that's what concerns me is how reliant he is on his legs. If anything was to happen, I feel like he would instantly become a bottom tier quarterback. If that injury was to become career altering, he has to kind of turn more to the pocket instead of being that scrambling guy who can truck people over. But Bills, like I said, same thing. I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt, keeping the top 10. Winner of this Dolphins-Bills game is going to carry a lot of weight going into next week. Number 8 is the Buccaneers at 5 spots. They looked phenomenal. They looked like one of the best teams. 37 points. Baker Mayfield really didn't have any bad plays. I don't think any of the Buccaneers did. And I seriously think this team is going to be competing for potentially a Super Bowl. Obviously, they're going to have a tough path to go with, guys like Cowboys, Eagles, and 49ers and Lions all in that division, who are all conveniently ranked above them in my power rankings. But, if they play how they do against the Commanders every week, I would be afraid. Number 7 is the Ravens. They're going to be going down 2 spots. They did lose to the Chiefs. Barely. A toe away. I know everyone's going to talk about that. However, what we also need to realize is they kept it close with the Chiefs while Lamar played very questionable. He was not on his A game. And you also have to realize Mark Andrews got locked up. And the receivers, none of them really did anything to help out besides Zay Flowers. And even then, I feel like he is a very limited player with a lot of upside in what he does. I feel like he's going to kind of be designated to a role instead of being a wide receiver 1. He's going to kind of be a Deebo Samuel where he can do it all, but he's never going to really be considered wide receiver 1 in his offense. Number 6, we have the Texans. They're going to be staying the same. They played amazing. The only issue is the Colts were able to keep up without, doing a whole lot successfully. And I feel like that is going to hinder the Texans in the long run, is how well they're able to do in managing a lead. Because you looked at that, like I said, they did amazing, but yet the game was still only 2 points decided. And it wasn't like it was garbage time points or the score was a lot, closer than the game was actually. That was a close game. But the Texans did really good. Number 5, we have the Cowboys up 2 spots. Do I have to say anything? You beat the Browns, who are one of the best all-around rosters in the league, by multiple scores, dropping nearly 40 points, while pretty much just making Fox look stupid for picking out his game of the week. I'm surprised they didn't switch off that game to a different one. I don't even know if they had any other games, to be fair. But that was not a good game. That was one where, it was good for the Cowboys, where they made no mistakes, and it showed. As I don't think a single Browns fan was happy. You had their own fans booing at Deshaun Watson. That doesn't happen often. Number 4, we have the Lions. They're going to be staying the same. Number 3, we have the Eagles staying the same. 2 49ers staying the same. 1 Chiefs staying the same. Everyone's staying the same. I feel like we have to talk about this. Starting, obviously, with the Lions. 26-20 win. They didn't look great. That was a very boring Monday night until kind of towards the end of the game where teams started to score points and get yards. Where my big concern lies is the fact that you were able to clamp up Kyren Williams and Puka Nacua was not playing late in that game, and yet you were still able to barely win. The high is, however, the fact that David Montgomery put the team on his back towards the end in overtime and won them that game. I feel like it really helps knowing that you have a reliable receiver. 2, honestly, now Jameson Williams played very well, and 2 reliable running backs is something that's probably going to boost this team's confidence going into the later weeks. Number 3, we have the Eagles. I don't know how to feel about this game because it was in Germany. Obviously, a lot of mistakes happened. Something, as I watched that game, the first 2 drives, interception, fumble. But after that, the Eagles are lights out. I feel like part credit goes to the field, but that's only part credit. They were making people miss. Not like break tackles miss, like ankle breaker miss. And I feel like that's kind of that electric Eagles offense where they have the elusive guys. You have A.J. Brown as your go up and get it guy. And then you have everyone else who will specialize in making the person miss. Number 2, we have the 49ers. I mean, I don't have to say anything. They played so dominant against the Jets. It looks like they found another hidden gem in Jordan Mason, the undrafted guy. And Deebo Samuel played very well. However, what we need to talk about is Mr. Moneybags, Brandon Ayuk. For the issue they went through, horrible. And, I mean, obviously, I don't know if the story's true about him, requesting a trade and then all that being said at the very end. They're like, we're either going to give you this contract or you're going to go to Pittsburgh. I don't know if that's true or not. However, if it is, it looks like the 49ers might have made the wrong decision because Brandon Ayuk just got $30 million, and he does not look like he deserves it. And number 1, the Chiefs. I mean, they did not play nearly as good as some of the other teams this week. However, like I said, I'm not going to drop them until they lose because they're Super Bowl champs for a reason. And I shall not discredit them for that. That's going to do it. I hope you guys enjoyed. I did. I'll see you guys next time with predictions. Goodbye. Hope you enjoyed.